Hey friends, today we're going to learn how to draw a coloring page in Adobe Fresco. The reason I'm using Adobe Fresco instead of using Procreate for this is because Adobe Fresco you can make vector from the very beginning, which could be really important if you want to rescale or resize your coloring page. Because Procreate is always pixel based, it's harder to rescale and resize when you want to make something bigger. So say that you made something at 8.5 by 11, but you wanted to make it a giant coloring page, it would be a lot harder for you to do that and it would get pixelized. But if you want to make it in Procreate, that's okay, you can. I would just make sure you're making it at the size that you definitely are going to be printing it at and using at least 300 dpi. For Adobe Fresco, I love that it has unlimited layers. I don't really have an issue making so many layers and then I can just erase behind and in front of if I need to. I'll show you what I mean when we get into the video, and then I'll show you how you can export your file. The nice thing about coloring pages is you can either just use them for fun, you can sell them on places like Etsy or Amazon, you can make your own coloring book if you'd like to, but today I'm just going to show you how you can make your first coloring page. Okay, let's get started.
Okay friends, so today we're going to make this coloring book. I've already pre-sketched what I want this page to look like. I would start off this file just by 8.5 by 11. Again, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be using vector brushes, and so it's going to be vectorized and you can rescale however you want to rescale, but I think that 8.5 by 11 is pretty safe, so let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to use a round brush, but you can use any brush that is in the vector brushes if you want. And then I'm going to just test what size brush that I want to use it at. I think I end up making it like a 4.5 size. I am going to go to the opacity and bring it down so that it's just a lighter version of my sketch so that it doesn't create confusion when I'm going over it with my vector brush. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start tracing my sketch here. Keep in mind that you'll probably push your brush over another section. So my suggestion is to make every part of your drawing a different layer so that you can easily delete or change or erase sections of it without having to delete or erase or mess with any other sections. I'm just making life easier for me and dragging this down so that I can make sure it's the same width and the same roundedness, but this is gonna change depending on how you want to create your own individual coloring page. This is just something that I'm doing. I'm just gonna sketch this out and I'll catch you guys when I'm done doing that. Something that's important, if there's areas where you don't necessarily think that somebody should color in, like you want to keep them black, I would color them in now just because there's already that black there and they don't have to worry about coloring that section in, like for instance, eyes and nose of a skull. You may come across across sections that you didn't think in the beginning would run into an issue, but they just seem like they're too crowded. So that's why it's important to make things on separate layers so that you can go in and fix that area if you want to. I'm just gonna go in and make that drizzle a little bit shorter so I don't have to worry about it clashing with the leaf right there. I just think it feels cleaner. It doesn't draw your eye to it immediately like it did before, and it's just not so cluttered in that area. Now, if you wanted to keep this as a digital coloring page, you totally can. I would just make sure that you group everything together and export it as a PNG so that somebody can take it, put it on a background layer and color in between the background layer. So you'll see that I do that so that they can color right behind your outline. Now, if you want to make this a physical coloring book, you can export this in a variety of ways. You can export it as a PNG, make sure there's a background turned on, or a JPEG, or probably the best for this option is a PDF, and that way somebody can print it just like this and they'll easily be able to color it in. And that's it, guys.
Okay, so we learned how to make a coloring book page today. It doesn't matter your style, it doesn't matter how you want to draw, just know that you are able to make a coloring book page. You could even add in some texture if you want to. You could round corners, you can make patterns that you want people to color in. But overall, this is the basics, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.